Mom always said being too pretty means guys will trick you. So I wore heavy, dull foundation and married this rich heir who claimed it was love at first sight. I thought he wasn't after my looks, that he actually loved who I was on the inside. Then we got in a car accident. He threw his body over mine and ended up with serious injuries himself. When I came to in the hospital, the first thing I asked the nurse was, "Where's my husband? Is he okay?" "Mr. Jung's back burns are pretty bad, but he's not in danger. He's in the room next door." I ripped out my IV and stumbled over, hand raised to push the door, when I heard his mother's voice from inside. "Jie, you married that ugly girl and made our whole family a laughingstock. And now you're throwing your life away for her? When are you going to stop this?" My hand froze on the doorknob. A few seconds of silence. Then came Jie's voice, completely flat, no emotion at all. "Mom, you know what I want." "I knew it. You're doing all this for Li Nian. I'm telling you, you are the best heir this family has. Li Nian will never set foot in this house. Using Song Qinghuan to pressure us isn't gonna work." I just stood there, cold all over. Wait, what did they just say? For Li Nian? Who's Li Nian? A wave of dread hit me, icy, suffocating. I pressed against the wall, slowly backed away, and retreated to my room. After a few seconds, I picked up my phone with shaking hands and texted my PI. "Dig up everything on Jiang Jie and Li Nian. The more detail, the better." Every second waiting for a reply felt like torture. His mother's sharp words and Jie's chillingly calm voice, "You know what I want," kept looping in my head. My phone buzzed. I tapped it open with shaking hands. Thick stack of files, along with a ton of photos. The girl in them was Li Nian, Jie's first love. Same social circle, same level. Everyone called them the golden couple. 3 years ago, they were about to get married. But a pre-wedding checkup revealed Li Nian couldn't have children. For a dynasty family like the Zhengs, heirs are everything. The family put their foot down. But Jie wouldn't back off. So the Zhengs went to war, systematically destroying the Li family's business. Eventually, the pressure became too much. Li Nian tearfully broke up with Jie. After the breakup, Jie went on date after date but rejected every single woman. Until he met me, the most notoriously ugly girl in the circle. And just like that, it all clicked. He didn't marry me because I was special. It wasn't because he saw something in me. It was because out of every woman he'd been set up with, I was the most embarrassing, the most unacceptable, the perfect tool to pressure his parents into giving in. He deliberately married an ugly girl to make a statement to his family, to pressure them into accepting Li Nian. I stared at the words on my screen and suddenly started laughing. Then the tears came. Pain wrapped around me like a net, pulling tighter and tighter, until I could barely breathe. Mom said being too pretty gets you played, but I dressed down and still got played, even worse. More thoroughly, more pathetic, more tragic. Everything I thought was happiness over these 3 years was nothing but a carefully staged act. I was just Jie's prop, his weapon against his family, his proof of love for Li Nian. I thought I had found the light, but turns out that light was just a reflection pointed somewhere else. I sat in my room and cried for a long time. Finally, I dried my tears, picked up my phone, and called his mother. "I want to divorce Jiang Jie." "What? Song Qinghuan with a face like yours, you have the nerve to ask for a divorce? Do you have any idea how many women in this circle would kill to be Mrs. Zhang? What I look like is none of your business. This divorce is happening. If your family refuses, I'll get a lawyer and take it to court. And when it gets messy, nobody wins. I'll handle the divorce, give me a few days." I hung up, took a deep breath, and discharged myself from the hospital right then and there. First thing I did when I got home, I gathered every gift Jie had ever given me. Necklaces, bracelets, rings, bags. All of it went in the trash, like throwing away 3 years of my own stupidity. A few days later, Jie came home. His burns hadn't fully healed. He moved a little slow, but he still wore a crisp suit, stood tall, looked just as composed as ever. Same old gentle energy. "Come sit. I heard you've barely eaten these past few days." I looked up at him. Used to be. Seeing that face made my heart race and my cheeks flush. Now? Just cold. Like looking at a stranger. He didn't seem to notice the change in my eyes. Or maybe he'd never really paid attention to my eyes to begin with. He glanced at the calendar on the wall and reached over to take my hand. "Missing me put you in a bad mood? Today's your birthday. I booked a dinner at the most upscale hotel downtown. It's still early. Let me take you to pick out a dress first. Sound good?" Old me would have been over the moon. Now there was just a cold, hollow laugh inside me. I didn't say a word, just quietly nodded. Jie took me to a high-end boutique. "You look around. I need to grab this call." He stepped to the side. I didn't think much of it, just started browsing on my own. I found a champagne-colored gown. Simple, elegant. That's the one. "I'll take this one. Go ahead and wrap it up." I turned to see who said that, and my blood ran cold. That face from the photos, bright, striking, always leaning close to Jie, was standing right there in front of me, in real life. She had on a cream white blazer, loose waves, flawless makeup, and that natural air of superiority. She was eyeing the gown in my hands with a half smile. Li Nian stepped forward, voice sweet, tone not so much. "Sorry, I actually had my eye on that dress too. I know you got here first, but I feel like it suits me better. Mind letting me have it?" "Sorry, no," she smiled. "I really love it. I mean, With your look, most dresses are about the same on you, right? Why not do me a solid and let me have this one? Neither of us moved. The tension was thick. What's going on? Jie walked back over and caught the whole scene. His brow barely moved. Li Nian's eyes lit up the second she saw him, but her hand stayed on the dress. Jie, you're here too? So this must be your wife. If I'd known it was Mrs. Jiang, I wouldn't have even fought over it. Here, Mrs. Jiang, it's yours. She let go, like it was all just a joke. But then, Jie reached over, took the champagne gown right out of my hands, and handed it to Li Nian. No need to give it up. That one suits you. Go try it on. A flash of triumph crossed Li Nian's face. She took the dress, smiled at me, and walked into the fitting room. My hand was still frozen midair. I could still feel the fabric being pulled away. Jie finally turned to me, like he'd just wrapped up some minor inconvenience. Qinghuan, that was Li Nian, a friend. She's just direct like that. No bad intentions. It's just a dress. Let's find something else. Why don't you just be honest? You think she suits it better, which means you think my face doesn't deserve this dress. Doesn't deserve anything nice. G paused. He clearly hadn't expected me to push back like that, or to say it that plainly out loud. He quickly reset his expression. His tone shifted to something almost tired. That's not what I meant. If I thought you weren't good enough, why would I have married you? Right. Why? Because I was ugly in exactly the right way. The perfect tool. The perfect pawn to push his family into a corner. Growing up hiding my looks, I'd heard it all. Classmates whispering, blind dates saying awful things, my own dad sighing. Hear it long enough, you go numb. But Jie was different. 3 years of gentle words, small acts of standing up for me, even risking his life. It slowly, quietly thawed everything I'd locked away. Made me believe in something I had no right to believe in. Made me depend on him. And then, in the calmest, most casual way, he destroyed every bit of it. That cut deeper than any outright cruelty ever could. I swallowed the sob rising in my throat, buried the pain, said nothing, and turned to the next rack. Grabbed the first plain black gown I touched. Just then, the fitting room curtain slid open. Li Nian stepped out. The champagne gown hugged every curve perfectly. Her skin looked like porcelain. She was stunning. The sales associate gushed, "Miss Li, this dress was literally made for you." Jie's gaze drifted to Li Nian. His eyes, usually so unreadable, reflected her clearly. And in those cold, guarded eyes, for just a moment, I saw something. Warmth. The kind I'd spent years searching for in him, and never once found aimed at me. Just a flash. But I caught it. Something clenched around my heart so hard I could barely breathe. "Jie, does it look good?" "Looks great." Li Nian's smile got even brighter. She strolled over to him and casually tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "Oh, by the way, tonight's Mrs. Jiang's birthday dinner at Moon Splendor Hotel?" Jie nodded. "I'm actually free tonight. Mrs. Jiang, would you mind if I came to celebrate with you?" "Of course not. You're more than welcome." That night, the top floor ballroom at Moon Splendor Hotel blazed with light. Jie had pulled out all the stops. Practically half the city's elite were there. I wore that plain black gown, my usual heavy bangs covering my face, standing next to him like a shadow that didn't belong in the frame. I could feel eyes on me from every direction, curious, sizing me up, and a lot of barely concealed contempt and snickering. What was Mr. Jiang thinking? No idea. Maybe he just has interesting taste. The whispers burrowed right into my ears. I kept my spine straight and my face blank, like I heard absolutely nothing. Early in the dinner, Jie presented me with a gift in front of everyone, a diamond necklace worth a small fortune. When the velvet box opened, the room gasped and murmured. I quietly said thank you. Li Nian showed up a little late. The moment she walked in, every head turned, like she was the real guest of honor. She came over to me. "Sorry I'm late. Didn't even have time to get you a gift. Hope you're not upset, Mrs. Jiang. How about I play something on piano? Happy birthday." She turned to Jie. "I remember you play too. What do you say? A duet? A little something extra for Mrs. Jiang's birthday." Jie looked at her expectant eyes, glanced at me standing there in silence, thought about it for a second, and then actually went. Their duet began, a four-hand version of Für Elise. Him, cool and composed. Her, warm and radiant. Sitting together, they looked like something out of a movie. The room buzzed. Now that's a match. What a waste. He should have married Miss Li. Song Qinghuan is just taking up space. Someone that plain, landing the most eligible guy in the circle? Seriously? I stood there as the air got thinner and thinner. The stares, the words. I was drowning in them. I slipped out to the balcony. The night air was cool, cutting through the heat and noise from inside. I leaned on the railing and breathed. Slow. Deep. Soft footsteps behind me. Then warm arms wrapped around my waist from behind. I went rigid. Jie's low voice came right by my ear. "Why'd you come out here alone? Don't let those people get to you. They're just talking trash." I didn't move. Didn't say anything. He probably thought I was still sulking. He rested his chin softly against my hair, voice dropping lower, carrying a trace of red wine. "Qinghuan, I've always said, you're great. Don't care about what other people think. As long as I like you, that's all that matters." Like, I almost laughed out loud. What kind of like? The kind where I was a pawn to use against his own family. Or the kind where I was just a stand-in while he was still in love with someone else. He must have decided words weren't enough. When I stayed silent, he suddenly turned his head and pressed his lips to the side of my neck, out of nowhere. Warm. Soft. I flinched, instinctively started to pull away. And then, the balcony door flew open. Li Nian stood in the doorway, a smile still fading from her face. She saw us. She saw the kiss on my neck. The smile froze solid. Her face drained of color. Her eyes filled up. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Her voice cracked. She turned and bolted. She looked completely wrecked. Jie let go of me almost instantly. His whole expression shifted. His eyes chased after Li Nian until she was gone. Concern written all over his face, and something that looked like conflict. He turned back to me, voice back to even. Don't think about what just happened. I like you. That's what matters. I'm gonna step out and make a call. And just like that, he was gone after her. I stood there staring at the empty doorway. I tried to smirk. Couldn't even manage that.